Xavier.
Go fuck yourself.
Everybody loves team-ups in all kinds of media. From your favorite players joining the same teams to your favorite artists collabing on a new song. But in recent memory, the one that impacted pop culture the most was the superhero team-ups. Like the Justice League and the Avengers being the face of all of it. But Marvel has also another super team of heroes a lot of people tend to forget about, the X-Men. The X-Men is Marvel's strangest superhero team, an organized team of mutants brought together by Charles Xavier, a mutant himself with telepathy. He created this team to help humanity, but also created a school behind them to harness and control their powers for the greater good of mankind. But this team also faces a lot of different issues throughout the series. It's one of them being Charles Xavier's old friend, but now enemy, Magneto, who's also a mutant who can manipulate magnetism, and also his band of misfits to do his bidding for world domination. In the X-Men Evolution series from 2000, it has the classic superhero group as teenagers at a high school dealing with other mutants on top of homework, a social life. But we could also watch the team slowly grow into more mature people and closer together as a family. This was a show that was meant for, a younger audience or a teen audience with the school setting, younger characters, and the outdated clothing. Throughout history, the X-Men had an abundance of characters, but for this series, they only use a handful of them, such as Wolverine, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Storm, Rogue, Jean Grey, Shadowcat, a newly created character specifically for the show, Spike, and later on, Beast. But they're not the only major recurring characters in the show. Magneto's group, the Brotherhood, are just as important, being led by Mystique, Quicksilver, Avalanche, the Blob, and the Toad. All the characters in the shows go through their own little growth arc. That's probably like a couple episodes here and there spread out throughout the whole entire series. Like how Rogue was kind of hesitate to join the X-Men in the first place due to Magneto's group constantly confusing her and try to take her away. Shadowcat coming to grips with her powers early on in the series. Nightcrawler trying to fit in. Cyclops being a leader. And a whole bunch of other stuff that we get to see these characters go through. And it's pretty cool to see that in a show like this that was meant for a younger audience. You really see these characters grow up. You see them mature. You see them become better people, better leaders, and better teammates. The art of the show is pretty good for the time. It really is. The art style is nice, with clean, sharp lines, a good color palette to keep all the costumes and the characters consistent. But the one thing I like the most about it is how a lot of the characters' design are pretty different from the original, but still recognizable in a way, like Wolverine's costume. The only difference is orange. But it's not just the superhero costume that's cool too. Even just the way how they have the X-Men all kind of have a matching color palette with the gold and dark blue. And then you have the Brotherhood, a more disorganized team, have just kind of just a bunch of colors everywhere. Everyone just kind of has their own color. So it was a cool design choice to do that. Not even just that, just the characters themselves, how they're different from their comic book counterparts. Like Rogue took more of a goth rock look. Nightcrawler, he's given a watch to turn him kind of human, to have more of a human looking self without the tail and blue skin. Mystique being the principal for majority of the show. All kinds of things like that. The show has a lot of themes, going from responsibility to doing the right thing and a whole bunch of other stuff too. But the one that the X-Men has always touched upon as a franchise was discrimination. Like with a lot of minority groups in our real world, mutants in their world are discriminated against and shunned upon only because of their genetic makeup, and they are seen as major threats, freaks, and menaces to society. The main antagonist to them, through this lens is the government, who in the later series take things a little bit too far, but that's another video for another day. But in this show, this subject isn't really touched upon early on, but there were moments where characters were trying to not expose to the public that mutants are real. But it wasn't until later on in the series where, after mutants become a public thing, the X-Men were being called freaks at school, considered outcasts among their peers. Despite their intentions, they were ostracized and deemed outcasts amongst people who they used to call friends, which is it's a real thing in our real world. And the way how they emulated that, not just through this series or the last one, but ever since the incarnation of the X-Men themselves, because we all been an outcast at one point, whether it's the things we like or the way we look. And the X-Men, they kind of capture that perfectly. These characters want to do the right thing, save people, but there's also mutants out there who wants to do the wrong thing, hurt people out there, and it makes it much harder for the characters to really show how good their intentions really are. So it's a tough thing to go through, and it's a very real thing too, because we deal with the same thing in our real world all the time. All these stereotypes about Asian people, African Americans, Mexicans, constantly being generalized, all because of the deeds of a few. So I really like how they really, despite this being the kids show, they really touch upon something serious like this. It's something that we're still dealing with too. So having a theme like that, makes it feel much more relatable in a way, and can help you sympathize with the characters on a further level. The X-Men is your typical action cartoon, coming of age story of multiple characters, and it has that early MCU charm that adds a lot of flavor to it, especially to the characters in the show, that a lot of audience members could relate to, with a lot of themes of being an outcast, being responsible, trust, and a whole bunch of other stuff. It really was an underrated show of the early 2000s. It's a great show with good acting, good art, good action, and everything above and below. So I highly recommend this show. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and make sure you hit the notification bell to see all the new videos coming out later. And I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.